Well, slavery today seems horrendous. We can't imagine how it would be accepted. And certainly, if you look up to the time before the Greeks, say before 500 BC, Edith Hamilton writes that one of the glories of the Greeks was before then no one had even thought about slavery. No one even thought that it could be wrong. And one of the glories of the Greeks was that while they continued to enslave, that there were people within them who began to debate whether or not slavery was right. And it took a long, long time before that really kicked into high gear. But then people began to debate whether or not slavery was right. Was it religiously right? Was it morally right? And so something that seems obvious to us, self-evident to us, was actually obvious and self-evident the other way for thousands and thousands of years. And then there was a time, a transition period, when for some people it was obvious, for some people it wasn't, or some people thought it was self-evidently right, some people thought it was self-evidently wrong. And funeral by funeral, century by century, the people who thought that it was wrong began to gain the upper hand. And when the society was in a position to be able to accept the idea that slavery was morally wrong and ought to be legally wrong, then the law began to shift. There are reasons why slavery began to end at the end of this 18th century, the beginning of the 19th century. There was a change in perception as to what was right and wrong. And human slavery was not something that was in the process of being changed all by itself. It was part of kind of the Zeitgeist, and the issue of how you dealt with children, how you dealt with the poor, how you dealt with non-human animals. And the RSPCA was founded. The first anti-cruelty statute came in the early 1820s, though it was being introduced as early as 1805. The whole idea of looking at the less fortunate, the less well-off, should they be dealt with in different ways? It kind of all came into being at the same time, and it certainly had broad ramifications. And so not only was slavery changed, but the way we dealt with the poor was changed. Women changed, children changed, non-human animals began to change.